think I'm on trial. These people are on trial for trying to steal an election in 2020. I'm not on trial, no matter how hard you try to put me on trial.
Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis shocks a Fulton County courtroom by coming in unannounced and requests to take the stand. Hear what she had to say as the hearing into her alleged misconduct continues. Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade insists under oath he did not start a romantic relationship with DA Willis until after he was hired, and the two split expenses for various vacations. Wade's extraordinary appearance on the witness stand comes as many of the defendants in the election interference case argue the case should be dismissed because of a conflict of interest. Fox 5 I-Team reporter Randy Travis was in the courtroom and joins us live with more. A lot to unpack with what happened today, Randy.
Yeah, Christine, actually a couple of extraordinary situations out here today. The latest being that DA Fani Willis took the stand about an hour ago. And I would say if there was one word to describe her testimony so far, it would be seething. She repeatedly accused defense attorney Ashley Merchant of lying about her relationship with Nathan Wade, calling her and other defense attorneys, quote, opposed to democracy.
Did you meet with Mr. Wade and talk to him about the motion that I filed to disqualify you?
On January, this first January motion?
Yes.
I don't know if you could say talked about. I probably had some choice words about some of the things that you said that were dishonest within this motion. So I don't know that it was a conversation. As you know, Mr. Wade is a Southern gentleman. Me, not so much.
A lot of salacious information came out today, but Judge Scott McAfee said he's really looking at two things here. When did this relationship start, and whether Willis benefited financially from it? Now, Nathan Wade testified that the DA actually reimbursed him for a lot of those vacations that they took together, and she reimbursed him in cash.
My name's Nathan Wade, N-A-T-H-A-N-W-A-D-E.
Rarely does a prosecutor in a criminal case get questioned under oath by the defendant's attorneys. But it was clear long ago the election interference case against Donald Trump and 14 others is no typical prosecution.
I want to say, because my marriage was irretrievably broken, I was free to have a relationship.
Nathan Wade testified his marriage was irretrievably broken in 2015, but he and his wife decided to stay together until their children were out of school.
When did your romantic relationship with Ms. Willis begin?
2022.
When in 2022?
Early 2022.
That would have been after he was hired by Willis to manage the racketeering case against Donald Trump and others. Wade said the two didn't travel together before then, and they roughly split vacation expenses, with Willis paying him back in cash.
You don't have a single solitary deposit slip to corroborate or support any of your allegations that you were paid by Mrs. Willis in cash, do you?
No, sir.
Not a single solitary one.
Not a one.
Defense attorneys argue Willis only hired Wade, paying him more than $650,000 so far, so she could get a financial benefit from all those trips. They also challenged his timeline, calling Robin Yeardy, a former DA office staffer who called herself a good friend of Willis. Yeardy resigned in lieu of being fired in 2022. She said she saw Willis and Wade kissing and hugging as far back as 2019. Trump attorney Steve Sadow pressed her for more.
Are you certain that Ms. Willis told you about the romantic relationship with Mr. Wade prior to November 1st of 2021?
Yes.
Every witness was reluctant to testify, including Wade's former law partner, Terrence Bradley.
I was advised by the bar that Rule 1.6 of confidentiality applies and that I cannot reveal anything that I saw or learned. I am here because I also have a law license, and I'm not trying to lose that.
As I said earlier, DA Willis is on the stand, and she confirmed on the witness stand under oath that Nathan Wade, that she did actually split the expenses with Nathan Wade on all these vacations that have come to light recently. And she also confirmed under oath that she paid Nathan Wade in cash. Naturally, that suggestion raised a lot of other questions, but she She said that she was told over and over again by her father to always have 6 months worth of cash on hand, and she didn't see it to be unusual at all. Much more coming up today at 5 and 6. For now, reporting live, Randy Travis, Fox 5 News.
Randy, do you think at all it was planned in any way, shape, or form for her to come in and testify on her behalf?
Well, remember, she was subpoenaed to testify, and they were fighting that. They were trying to quash that subpoena, and the judge was reserving judgment on that until he heard from some other witnesses. She heard that Nathan Wade finished his testimony, and she said she just assumed that she would be next. So she walked into the courtroom unannounced and said that she was ready to waive her objection to the subpoena because she wanted to answer questions.
And do we have any indication when the judge will decide on this, whether she should be removed from this case?
We've not heard anything specific yet. He has indicated that this hearing may last until tomorrow, and it certainly sounds like it might. Then, of course, he has to decide, as I said earlier, two things. When did this relationship start? Was it before or after Nathan Wade was hired and started getting all this tax money, $650,000 so far? And whether Fani Willis financially benefited from it. And that's actually the more important of the two. And if she has sworn under oath that she didn't really financially benefit at all, that she repaid Nathan Wade for all these trips and did it in cash without any other receipts to back that up, it's going to be up to Judge McAfee to decide, well, who's telling the truth.
Yeah, that's a good point, because many people are focusing on the relationship part of it, right? But it's really determining whether there was a financial benefit, as you just explained. We will let you get back
Absolutely.
Go ahead, Randy, go ahead.
I was going to say, the relationship, whether it happened before or after, may impact Nathan Wade and his law license, perhaps, because he swore in his divorce proceedings that he didn't have any relationship before at all, before 2023 with anybody else. And clearly he is saying now that he did, starting in 2022. But that's not what we're really here for today. We're here to decide whether there was a conflict of interest that generated money for the DA in this case.
All right, we will let you get back to the courtroom, and we'll see you in the next hour, Randy. Thanks so much.